Hey Andrew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, there's a couple things I need to go over before we begin. I see you signed your GCU mock in conformed consent to record here. Do you have any questions on that?
No.
Okay, perfect. And we're recording right now, and that can be used for GCU resources and everything along
Yeah.
those. Okay, perfect, perfect. And I also need to go into a little bit on the limits of confidentiality. I mean, obviously, everything that you say, I intend to the best of my ability, keep that between us, client confidentiality. But there are a couple of exceptions. First off, I have an advisor. Her name is Carol Wilson, and she will probably be viewing all this and, be making comments and such. But further than that, there are a couple other situations that, if they were to arise, I would have to break that confidentiality. One is if you tell me of the abuse of a minor or elderly person, or if I am ordered to by a judge issued subpoena. Do you understand all that? Or are there any
Yeah.
questions? Okay.
No.
Okay, perfect. Well, I was wondering how everything's going with that biopsy. Do you know anything that was on her liver? Do you know anything?
Not really. It's still kind of up in the air, but
No.
yeah, it's been pretty hard, but my family has come into town because of it,
Um,
and that just brings like a whole new set of, I guess, drama with it.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's really weird just because my aunt is sick, and then
Yeah.
my uncle is getting married
Yeah.
this Saturday.
Right.
And it just a really, I don't know, like to me, it's just kind of weird because, like I'm still trying to process all the stuff that's going on with my aunt, and then
Yeah.
all my family is coming out. And my uncle actually was married before and
Yeah.
divorced his wife and is getting remarried.
Yeah.
And I know that there's like a gray area with all of that, like, but I am kind of against divorce and remarriage. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't really support it. And I just kind of think that it's silly that they are, like, my family is trying to make a big deal out of this wedding,
Yeah.
just because he has three kids with my previous aunt. I don't know what I would call
Now
her
that's not
besides my.
the aunt that's sick, right?
Oh, no, no, no.
Okay. Yeah,
No,
I was just
different.
clarifying just to.
Yeah, different family members. And
Okay.
so and so when my aunt, his ex-wife, got remarried, I was also like, I wasn't really in support of that, but she
Yeah.
had invited me to her wedding, and a lot of times I kind of just am like, I don't know why I feel an obligation to go to things like that. So I ended up going to her wedding. I was not happy about it. I was like
Yeah.
really upset, and I just don't know why I went. And I only went to like the ceremony in the church, and then I went to the
Mm.
reception for like, I want to say 10-15 minutes, and then I left because I was just like, you know what, this is just too weird for me. And so
Yeah.
my uncle is the one that I'm actually related to,
Right.
but I had a lot of respect for his ex-wife, and I really, I still kind of do, even though
Right.
like I know that she wasn't perfect and she had her own little issues and stuff like that. But now that he's getting married, he's like marrying a person with multiple kids.
Right. Yeah.
And it just like to me is so weird that he has kids, but is gonna be living with different kids. And
Yeah.
I don't know, because she has full custody of their children together.
Right. Yeah.
And so I don't know. So I've been kind of against it. And then he also was at fault with the divorce, the first marriage, just because like he did actually cheat on her. So I think
Ah.
that was why I really didn't care like for him for a while because
Mhm.
I know that like my dad had also cheated on my mom and then
Right.
left all of us to go get remarried to somebody with kids. So I don't know how much of it is me projecting,
Yeah.
but it just like that just annoys me. But then now that he's getting married, I'm in this like at this crossroads where I'm again faced with this decision that I don't feel like is my own. I really do feel
Yeah.
obliged to go.
Yeah.
And my mom's whole family, so this is my mom's brother, my mom's whole family got so mad at me because I went to his ex-wife's wedding. They got really offended by it and really just
Yeah.
were really nasty and rude to me about
Mm.
doing that. And which I kind of get, like he's actually our relative versus she's just she, they just I'm only related to her by marriage,
Yeah. But it's someone that was
But
important to you.
I feel like a lot of the time, and I was doing some work, like some homework earlier this week, and I just read about mirroring. I don't know if you've heard of it, like
Yeah, I have to.
mirroring.
Yeah.
And so, and so basically what it is like um people that I guess you have a connection to or you love will mirror your interests back to you. And
Yeah.
I noticed that when I was reading about it, I was like, that was definitely not me as a child.
Right.
Like my parents didn't really mirror anything that I cared about. And a lot of times I felt like I was always trying to do things that they were
Yeah.
interested in. And so it goes on to say that a lot of times as adults, people that didn't have proper mirroring um, end up being people pleasers. And so I really feel
Yeah.
like I'm a huge people pleaser, and
Right. Yeah.
I was just like, I don't want to go to this wedding. I don't like it goes against my values. It goes against like I
Yeah.
don't even really want to support him
Yeah.
in this whole thing. And it's like, why am I like, and it was like this huge, like the past 2 weeks, it's just been this back and forth with me
Yeah.
not wanting to go and looking for any reason not to go.
Yeah.
One thing that really annoyed me was that I was trying to use, my aunt being sick as an excuse not to go, or
Yeah.
like I was gonna pretend to be sick to not go. And I'm like, well, why can't I just be honest and
Yeah. I just
say,
say I don't want to go. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't really support this. I don't want to be there. Like, and so I don't know. I don't know what I could do, and I don't know
Yeah.
if you can even help me with
I,
all
I,
that.
I think to some extent, I mean, I think a true change is going to come with you there, but I notice you keep saying the word weird. You said weird a lot, and I'm not trying to make you self-conscious about it, but I can see that situation is very weird, huh? From all the things that you've experienced in the past, I think it's coloring it quite a lot. I know with your dad and everything there, that's got to be a very odd situation to be in. I can see why that caused you a little bit of pain. I mean, I think from an action perspective, I think you have to weigh the risks of not going against the rewards of not going. So obviously, you don't really want to go, right? And that's the reward is if you don't go, thank goodness you didn't have to experience that weirdness, right? But I think on the other hand, there is something in you that's the people pleaser that you were talking about that really wants to keep that situation, as far away from, in a weird way, keeping it farther away is going, right? Because if you go,
Yeah.
you can just pretend la 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 and not, be affected by
Well, yeah, it's interesting that you even say that because I
it.
was thinking about just my mom's family in general.
Yeah,
I've noticed that a lot of times with my own family or my dad's family, I noticed that they will kind of like judge us or
yeah.
put like say that we're in the wrong if we kind of like call each other out or give
Right.
criticism to one another. And so it's like I was like, man, if I and I don't really like the way that they handle situations because they just don't. They just don't handle
Yeah,
anything. And
right.
then they just hope and then they just act like everything is fine when it's like deep down.
Yeah,
They
you feel like
have,
they're kind of pushing it off.
yeah,
Yeah, That makes sense.
It's like, and I don't want to be like that. I don't want to like resent people and like suppress it and just be,
Yeah.
you know, I feel like I would be unhappy. I don't know if they are, but I would be unhappy.
Yeah. Okay, so that seems to be more in that don't go category, because if you're going to be unhappy, uh, I mean, which one is going to bring you more lasting happiness? It kind of feels
Mm.
like you really are just looking for that reason. I mean, you even said you're looking for a reason not to go. What reason do you think would be good enough for you and good enough for your family to feel like you're justified in not going?
I honestly don't know. It's
Yeah,
like this is like
tough
so
question.
it's just such like a mm,
Yeah,
atypical instead of weird
yeah.
thing for me to even because before I
Nothing
would
wrong
just
with
be
weird.
compliant and I would just do it because I know it would make my mom
Mm,
happy. It would make my family, I guess, happy that I'm
right. Yeah.
doing it, even though I don't want to. But I don't know. I just think that I go against my conscience a lot when it comes to, especially my mom's side of the family. Like
Yeah.
I have to suppress a lot of things. I have to just like pretend like things don't
Yeah.
bother me, and it's just not. I just feel that I would lose being close to my family, like my mom's side of the family. But at this point, the only people that I really care to be close with on that side is my cousins.
Yeah. I
Just
want to ask you a
because
question. Do you think that's a pressure that they're putting on you, or do you think that's a pressure that you're putting on yourself?
I think it's a pressure that I'm probably putting on myself, but if I just know them so well that the way that I respond to
Mhm.
something will cause some kind of animosity or just like
Right.
issues. If I don't go, I know it's going to cause a lot of problems. Like I just know that for a fact, but I just don't like again, it's not just that I don't want to, it also goes against my values and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just it just seems so messy for me that I mean, I just don't want to go, but it's like I also don't want
Yeah.
to lie about it. Like I don't want to say, oh,
Right.
I'm sick or oh, I have to work that day. Like I don't want to like make something up because it's really the reason why
Yeah.
I'm not going is because I don't agree with the whole thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I admire your honesty, and I very much admire that you're trying to make the best out of a kind of messy situation. You're taking everyone's feelings into account. I think you're going about it in a really smart way. I do think there's a point where you have to say, is this causing me more pain than it's causing them? Because, and I don't know what that point is. That's for you to figure out. But I think there's some point where not going is the best answer. And I'm not talking about this specific event.
Yeah.
I'm saying, some point in the future, you've had a lot that goes into that you with your dad and your uncle and those feelings. I think that, being true to yourself and saying to them directly, maybe even that it's causing you too much pain to go, that's something you should consider. Uh, Now, I don't know if necessarily know if that's the situation to do it, but I think you need to weigh options. How much pain is going to be caused to them by you not going versus how much pain you are causing yourself by going. What do you
Mhm.
think? Where do you think that scale is? Like, let's rate yours first. Out of 1 to 10, what would your pain be if you went and you had to sit through all that again?
I think it would just be a pretty high discomfort. Like I would not like to be there. Like I'm thinking it would probably be an 8 or a 9. And the only
Okay.
reason why it's not higher is because I have like my family that I can talk to. And like I
Yeah,
like I still have that whole, we're being social kind of aspect, which I do
yeah,
like.
that's fair. Yeah.
But I think to answer your question before that, I think I'm causing myself more pain if I
Mhm.
go because I think that my family doesn't really care if I go or if I don't go. I think that they're just gonna look for a reason to kind of like be disappointed in me because I felt like it was really odd how they kind of altered on me just because I went to that wedding, my
Mm,
uncle's ex-wife's wedding, when it's like I don't even know how they found out about it. Like I don't even know
yeah,
how they knew she was getting married. I don't even know how they knew that I was there. Like it
yeah,
just seemed like they were looking for something to kind of discredit me because I don't really fit in
mm,
with their lifestyle. Like
yeah,
and I don't know, like they're just the way that they
yeah.
approach issues and
Why
stuff.
why do you feel like you don't fit in with their life?
Just because they are so different in the way that they
Mm,
process things
no,
and they don't they just don't like being called out, and repression, suppression, whatever it is,
no.
really is how they function. Like I mean that's just what I've observed.
Mm,
It might not be. It just seems like that's what they do. It's just that they suppress things, just they don't have to think about it anymore. And I'm very much not like that. And I've voiced that a couple times, and I just have been met with kind of like deflection and stuff like that.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, we're starting to get to the point where we need to wrap up here. So I wanted to touch before we close everything up on the homework that I gave you last time. Now, I had asked you to think about a couple of different scenarios, that were bad scenarios and good scenarios. Now, that didn't have specifically be about your aunt. I just said in general about life and how those things would affect you. Did you do that?
Um, no, it was pretty stressful, but the
That's
only
okay.
thing that I can say is
Yeah,
because I did that with the whole thing with the school, like applying
right,
to the school that I wanted to go
right.
to
Absolutely. Yeah.
work at. And I weighed options on all of that, like the good and the bad things were basically
Yeah.
like a lot of it was pay and how I would feel working
Yeah.
that versus what I do now.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the same kind of thing I think you should be doing about this wedding, and that's okay if you don't do it. Nobody's going to hold you accountable. I'm not going to be, standing over your bed like, taking notes. Like, if you don't have time, that's okay. But one thing I think that would be helpful about this wedding situation is just thinking about which course of action is going to cause everyone, not just you. I mean, I appreciate that you are the kind of person that takes other people's feelings into account. But I think there's some math that needs to be done to be hashed out here. And like I said, that's for you to decide. But if they are actually looking for ways for you to go wrong, there may be no way to please them anyway. And in your scenario that if you go, that is going to have detrimental effects that you are not going to be happy about that. You know that going in. You've said that several times. So I think you need to consider that on that side of the equation. Uh, that said, you crunch the numbers how you crunch the numbers. There may be somebody else on the other side that is going to have some serious problems as well if you don't go. Uh, but I think just thinking about that and coming up with a course of action uh, is going to be really helpful for you. Uh, Okay.
All
Was
right,
there
I'll definitely
anything
work
else
on
you wanted
that.
to talk about before we wrap things up today?
No.
Okay. Are you feeling a little better about the wedding and what's going on?
We'll just reconvene after the wedding to see what I actually end up doing. Because I always go back and
Absolutely.
forth on the decisions like that.
Yeah,
So
that's
we'll
fair.
see how history plays out.
Yeah. Well, I would also advise you once you make a decision, don't be wavered by it. Whatever that decision is, I think being on that edge is the most stressful situation. There's this Buddhist saying that is the root of all suffering is expectation, right? And I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'm not a Buddhist, but I think there's something that speaks to the human psyche in there. If you are wavering on the edge and you don't know what to expect and you don't know which way it's going to go, that's going to cause you a lot more stress and anxiety than if you pick a side and stick to it. So
Hmm.
Well, I enjoyed our session today. I hope that you're doing okay, and we'll check in. You want to do the same time next week?
Sure.
All right, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming in today.
Goodbye.